Welcome to working with R&R Studio, or just working with outputs in R&R Studio. But more importantly, we're going to learn how to work on our computers quickly. Everybody has their own ways of saving files, working with documents. I'm just going to show you a few in case you don't know, but you can always save files where you would like, but I want to make the class as easy as possible. So I'm going to show you a couple of shortcuts. The objectives for this video is to show you some shortcuts on your computer, working with Microsoft documents, that's Word, Excel, and even PowerPoints, and then R&R Studio, or just working with R&R Studio outputs to help you with our assignments, and especially our first R assignment. So the first thing that we're going to look at is, how do I make life easy for myself so I don't have to dig around to find Blackboard? So you can go here and you can get onto Blackboard from the home page on the web, and you could do it every time. You could get into Blackboard, that's fine. But a faster way is you could actually put it on your desktop, especially if you're going through college or just this class. So you could save on your desktop a way in which to get to Blackboard quickly. I look at where the lock is, I pull it over to anywhere that I want to put on the desktop, so if I want it there, and now I'll have a link to Blackboard all the time. So if I just opened up my computer, I could click onto that, and there Blackboard would be, and so I log in. So I'd hit the login, and now it's time to put in your login credentials. So once into Blackboard, you choose your course, which of course we're Stat 110, and you go in there, depending on what your section is. Now, the first thing is to note is you go down to where your Blackboard, on Blackboard, where your R assignment would be. So I'm going to click in here, go down, and there's my R assignment. In the R assignment, I have, for this first assignment, I show you how to download R&R Studio. So if you would want to, if you have a computer you can, you have access to, you can download R&R Studio for free. Whether it's Mac or Windows, it goes on relatively easily. If you have an older version of Mac, I have a link in the announcements on Blackboard that will show you where you could find that download for R Studio. But if you have a newer operating system, this would be just fine to use the link that I give here in these instructions. Then I have a quick PowerPoint on R&R Studio just to kind of get you to look at it. I have a help video of how to input data into R, and then the assignments. And so there's two different types of assignments. The first that's in green here are those that have R on their computers. You'll need this. If you don't have access, then after the red, these will be the ones where you wouldn't need R or R Studio on your computer. You could just complete the assignment. In other words, you'll do everything that somebody with R does, except for you won't program. So you unfortunately will not get the experience of programming. You'll just be using output. So for those of you that do have R Studio, the first thing you do is you're going to download this document, DOC. Now you'll see that I always put a PDF because sometimes some of the formatting might mess up if you don't have a Windows computer, but you will want to have it be this document because you're going to want to add to that document. So you go to the three little dots and you just download it. It goes into your downloads. So if I click onto that, I come to this. So this is in full screen. And if you saw, there's a thing up at upper right. I want to make it not so full screen. So I kind of minimize it. So in here, I've got this document in Word. With this, I can't do anything with it. When it has this protective view, so I want to enable editing, number one. You want to save this on your computer. And I'm telling everybody to save it onto your desktop because it's just so easy to get to things. You can do it anywhere you like. You can make a filing system for yourself, however you like to. I'm just going to show you just putting it on your desktop so that you can easily find it. But I see I have this save, but not save as. There's on this quick access, so I don't have to run around and figure out where save as is. I like to have my quick access on my right up here. So see where there's the line and the down arrow. If I click onto that, I can add more commands. So I hit more commands. Then I have this dialog box, and I'm going to look for Save As, because I love that feature because I can change the name and I can save it wherever I want it. So I click on to Save As, add it, and look what's going to happen. You're going to see it appear at the top over here when I hit OK. And now I have the Save As. So I want everybody, when you save your R documents, to take this and to do your last name, and then just type R and then whatever one it is. This is R1. And I want you to save it, scroll up to where you save it to your desktop, save, and it will now be on your desktop. So there it is right there. So I can access it at any time. So now when I start working in here, so I want everybody to do their name. And now you can save it at any interval. So now you have the assignment with all the answers in it. Now I'm going to require you to write your name on it like this and to answer in complete sentences because I want you to start knowing the feel of being more professional in how you turn things in, how you write things up. So things should be answered in complete sentences. You put your name on it. And this is it won't be hard, but it just gets you into a more professional type situation. So with this one, I tell you, please put your name in the upper left like we did. Make sure you copy and paste what's asked in the assignment. Make sure you answer all the questions in complete sentences. And then save this file like we did here. But I always say as soon as you download it, save it so you can start hitting save so you don't lose anything that you've done. And when finished, you're going to upload to Blackboard. So the first thing in this assignment was for us to actually put stuff into R. So for those of you that have R, you're going to go down to the bottom of your screen. I have it on my fast, where I can get to it fast. If you don't have that, you can easily do that by going into your files, finding R, and then posting it to this right here. So how would that look? You would touch the windows. For me, it would touch the windows. But what you do is, however you get into the apps of your computer, that's what you want to do. So I would go into RStudio, and where I see RStudio, I'd go here and I'd click onto it and I'd go more. I don't just want to pin it to the start. I want to pin it to the taskbar. And that's what I did. I hit that. If I want to unpin it, I'd hit this. But I pinned it to the taskbar. When you do that now, you'll be able to access R quickly. You don't have to, but again, I'm trying to show you shortcuts. So what you want to do is you want to open up R. Once you open up R, you want to minimize the screen so you can see both screens together. So I'm going to minimize this a bit, minimize my Word document so I can see both of them at the same time. So as I'm messing around just trying to get them side by side with one another. So now I can look at what I need to do and then have R available to me. Now here's R. In my other demo I showed you, we have the console where we put our code. This greater than sign in blue is called a prompt. That's where R is saying, hey, if you want to talk to me, this is where you talk to me. And literally programming is doing nothing more than talking to whatever program. Ours happens to be R with the interface of RStudio. RStudio is a very nice way to work with R. It does a few things for us that if we used R, we could still do, but we'd have to program a little bit more. And this is just a nice interface. So this is where I'm going to talk to R right here, but I have to talk to it the way in which it understands. So I couldn't just go to France and start speaking English to everybody and expect them to know English. I would have to, if they did, great, but if they didn't, I'd have to learn French in order to communicate. The same thing goes with programming. So I have to know how to talk to R. So I'm going to teach you that. So this code right here, where I said, here's the code that you want to put in order for me to put in the variable called num1, and these are the values for the variable right here to put that into R. So I'd copy and paste this. And so you could do it by doing copy, or you could on your keyboard hit Control C, and then here either paste it like this or Control V. In Apple, you use Command C for copying and Command V for pasting, or just like what I did, where when you do this, you could copy and paste that way. Now, what I want to show you in this code, when you see the hashtag or number that used to represent number sign, it still does. This is you talking to yourself so that later on, if you ever looked at your code, you know exactly what you're doing. It's a great habit to get into when you code, because sometimes you won't use a program for a while and you'll forget what that part of the program does. So these are comments you make to yourself. R&R Studio does not look at it. So I'm saying, hey, I'm going to create a column vector and I'm going to call it num1. So I do that. And here's the command that R sees, that R will do something with. I name my variable num1, and then I do a less than and a dash. That means my num1 is going to equal this column vector. That's why it's a small c. And then in parentheses, I put all the data values. Now, if I used a capital C, R would be upset with me. It wouldn't understand that. So it is case sensitive. In other words, if I do a cap lock, I'm going to mess myself up. So make sure when you do the commands, now how I name the variable, that's up to me. But everything else, how I put stuff in, it has to be a lowercase c, parentheses, and then my data values have to be separated by a comma. Now I could have just stopped there and it would have actually inputted those values, but now I want to make sure and I want to see it. So I said num1. So if you name a variable and you input stuff into that variable, then you are able to actually see what you inputted. So I'm going to hit enter. When I hit enter, this is going to say, hey, I'm talking to R, and now this is what happens. So when I hit enter, this command right here put those values in this variable called num1, and we see it in what's called the global environment. So these will be all the variables I've created in a session, and I can save it or not, but I know that these are the variables and their values in the session. Now, when I wanted to actually see it, I typed num1 and I got to see them. So you've done part A. You've put in those. You put in data value num1 and with its variables. Now if I want to do num2, I could type it in myself. I could type in all the commands, but I could make a mistake. Because I tend to type too quickly and make silly errors. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this code, and actually right there, that should have said num1. I'm going to take this code, copy it, and paste it. And you're going, yeah, but now I'm going to do num1 again. Yes. So what you're going to do is you're going to change that code up. I want to now do, and I want to put in the values for num2. So everywhere I see num1, I put num2. But I'm still not done. If I hit enter, num2 would take on these values. I don't want those values. So I copy and paste the values that num2 should have, which is 22, 24, all the way up to 21, all these values. So I copy these and I paste them in here so that those are now the variables that will go in for num2. And now I'm ready to hit enter. I see the values are in there. They're correct. Now I'm ready to do num3. So I do the same thing. I take this code, paste it, and now I can change. So again, everywhere I see num1, I'm going to put num3. Once I do that, now I have to change the values because the values are 77, 66, and so forth. So I take these, copy them, and paste them in. And again, you could have typed this whole thing. I'm just taking a shortcut. But remember, shortcuts, I could make a mistake. So I've got to be very careful that if I'm doing the variable num3 that I've changed everything in here that said num2 or num1 into num3. So now I've got my 3 variables in there. So the next thing you have to do is you have to copy and paste your code for parts A, B, and C right here. Now, if you go into here, in order to copy it, you just literally copy all the stuff that you put in. Hit copy. Now, part of you learning in R is to learn how to use a document or how to make a nice document. If you go into here and where it says paste the results here, and you just go and you paste, you're going to have a formatting nightmare. So if I do paste where I do Control V, I might have a formatting nightmare on my hands. What you do to generally make sure you don't is you do Enter, and now you can do Control V, and now all the ones went away and stuff like that because now I'm out of the formatting of the Word document. Another way to do it is when you paste, make sure if you're doing this, you want to do the one where you don't want to merge the list. You want the list unmerged. That's another way you could do this. So that's now, you've just programmed, got 3 variable values, and we could do stuff with them. We could get means, standard deviations, medians, all that stuff. We could start doing stats on it. So learning how to input data, very important. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to upload an Excel file. So what you need to do for that is you need to find the Excel file in our in the assignment. Now, I don't want to have to go through all my windows. So what you can do is at the bottom of your screen, you can click where, see how I clicked where I'm using Chrome. I click that and all of a sudden my Chrome comes up. So I don't have to sift and look around for things. If I want to get back to my Word document, I do that. So quick ways to move around your screen. If I wanted to get back to RStudio, do you see what I did? I just click onto it down here. I see it. And now I can get to that. So fast ways to get around your computer if you haven't, worked with it a lot. So in our R assignment at the very bottom of here, my assignments is that data set. You want to download that data set. Now it's in my downloads. That's great. But what I want to do is I want to change it from being in my downloads onto my desktop, or put it wherever I know it's going to be. So once again, we see our enable editing. Make sure we enable that. And now this, once again, now you only have to do this once, but I want to have save as. So I go to my line with the down arrow, and now I go to more commands. I want to add that save as in there. Once I hit that, added it to in here. Now I hit OK, and voila, it's up here on there. And now every time I open up Excel, it will have the save as for me. You don't have to do that every time. It will be there now from ever more on my particular computer. So I want to save this. Do not change the name. It must remain battery life, or the code that I give you won't work. So you make sure if you downloaded this twice, you'll have battery life with a 1 next to it. You can't use it. You have to use the original or the code won't work. So I'm going to save this file without changing its name to my desktop, hit save, and now I know it's there. So I can X out of this because now I want to go into R. So again, I'm going to put up my Word document and my R, and now it's time to upload a file that's an Excel file. The way that you do that is you go to we have our one pane, which is the console pane. There are 3 panes right now. This one is called the global environment. And then this one is the one where we're going to see plots. That's how we're basically going to use this. But there's other things you can do here. Get help. We'll talk a little bit about that later. But in here, this is where I'm going to add my file. So in here, in this global environment, let me make it a little bigger so you can see it. You're going to see this. It's going to say import. Okay. So you want to import, see the down arrow? click it. We want to import from Excel. Now, the first time you run through, this won't happen again. It's going to give you this. And once you add this package, it's now in there for good. So I'm going to hit yes. I want this package in there. So it will install. So I have to wait. Again, this will only happen one time, and now I'm done. I won't see this again. Once it's installed, now I can browse my computer. Remember, I want to go to my desktop because the desktop has that battery life in it. I click onto battery life, and all of a sudden you start seeing the file right there. You see that the first line is a name, and then we have our data values. So now we can import that, and it will actually import it. See, we see it right there. It says 10 observations of one variable. We see it right there. You have now downloaded an Excel file into RStudio, and so you can use R to do anything you want with it. So part A asks you, how many data values do you see? Well, you could look here. There are 10, or it tells you 10 observations. So in a complete sentence, you're going to write, there are 10 data values, period. Now, it would be nice, I keep telling everybody, if you would go into here, and when you give an answer, put it in a different color. So you could go in here and put it into any of your favorite colors, but it would be nice if you let it stand out so it makes it easier for me to grade, which is always a good thing to do. So there I have another answer. So you've already gotten points for just copying and pasting here. You have points for just writing that. And now you're going to answer this question. Calculate the mean of these data values. And I give you the code the first time through. So you can just take this, copy it, literally go back into R, paste it, hit enter, and there you have this. Mean battery life is 9.47. And if you look up here, this is how you uploaded. You would need RStudio. You could have done this in R, but you would have had to write all these commands. We have this nice import statement that does all that for us. So you just typed in this to get the mean. So you need to copy and paste just the commands to get the mean. And there, put it right here. Now, once again, you can copy it, but don't hit this one. You want to merge the formatting. So now I have the mean battery life is that, and it says, what is the mean that's displayed? It's that right there, the thing that's next to the 1 in brackets. That means one output from that command, and there is only one. So you would say the mean is 9.47, period, and you're done. I didn't ask for a specific number of decimal places or anything like that, so you're good to go. Now you're going to save that, and now you're done. That was all there was to it. So now you have to upload it onto Blackboard. So you go to the very bottom of this, and you'd see Add Content. You're going to click into this box in here and add your content. And you're going to click into it, and then the thing that looks like a paper clip, you hit it, and then you're going to go to your desktop, and then you're going to look for your document, and there it is. Upload it, and then you have to make sure it uploads and hit submit. So you've got to make sure you hit submit. So it's not just uploading, then you have to hit submit to make sure it goes in, and you're done. And there you go. I'm just going to close this, and you're finished. Okay? So that's how you do your R assignments. But there was a lot that went with it. Working with your computer, working with Microsoft Office documents, either the Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, or Excel, working with some commands, how to find things quickly on your computer. Like I said, to be able to find them really fast, where I could just click on it and get to things. It's nice to know how to do that quickly. So I hope you found this informative and helpful, and I wish you all the best. If you have any questions, as always, we have an 8 to 9 office hour on Monday nights. I have the link on our Blackboard site. It will always be there. It says link to Monday's help sessions, or you can email me rather, and we could schedule a time to talk over Zoom. Thanks so much for watching.